ethanol blending targets. It's in news because India has achieved 15% ethanol blending in 2024 and moving towards the goal of 20% by 2025. Let's see the details. It mentioned this saying that India achieved 50% ethanol blending in 2024 and progressing towards E20 in 2025. Now let's see what happens by achieving the targets. It reduces the dependence on imported fossil fuels, aligning with the energy security and also climate action goals. We already discussed this in basics that by blending these biofuels with petrol and diesel, we can reduce the dependency on fossil fuels and we can achieve energy security. That means we don't have to depend on other countries for the oil. We can produce them locally and also we can reach climate action goals. Next, what are the economic benefits? It reduces the import costs and improves the India's trade balance and fiscal stability such that we can achieve significant savings in the foreign exchange. What are economic benefits? It reduces the import costs and increases the savings of foreign exchange, and it fosters the economic self-reliance by reducing the import dependency. Next, environmental benefits. We know that it reduces the greenhouse gas emissions by decreasing the fossil fuel consumption, reduces the greenhouse gas emissions, which makes India committed towards the Paris Agreement for climate change mitigation, such that we can achieve the climate change targets. These are the environmental benefits. Next, energy self-reliance. By producing the biofuels locally, we can strengthen the domestic energy security by reducing the reliance on imported crude oil, which promotes the Make in India initiative through use of domestically produced ethanol. We can produce energy within our country, not depending on imported oil. We already discussed all these points and basics only. Next, feedstocks for ethanol production. Feedstocks means raw materials that we are using for producing the biofuels. Now it can use surplus sugarcane, damaged food grains and other agricultural residues to produce the ethanol, such that we can reach the target of 20% ethanol blending E20 by 2025. Now see relevance. It provides an additional revenue stream for the farmers, increases the farmers' income and reduces the agricultural waste. Next, government policies. What are the government policies on biofuels? Ethanol blending program and also PLI schemes for biofuels. Next, challenges are higher production costs and also there was a debate of food versus fuel. Balancing the food security and biofuel production is important to avoid the economic and social disruptions. Future directions: achieving the 20% by 2025 and develop 2G and 3G biofuel technology for better efficiency. R&D should also improve. Next, let's practice some questions on this. Consider the following statements regarding the National Policy on Biofuels 2018. We already learned about this policy in basics only. Let's see the statements. It allows the production of ethanol from surplus food grains. Yes, we can produce ethanol from the surplus food grains. So statement 1 is correct. Statement 2. The policy promotes advanced biofuels such as 2G ethanol and biodiesel. Yes, the policy divided the basic biofuels and advanced. Basic one is only 1G. Coming to advanced, 2G and 3G. So statement 2 is also correct. The blending target for ethanol in petrol was revised 20% by 2025. Yes, correct. In 2022, it was amended. So all the statements are correct. Answer D is the right. Next question. Based on environmental and economic perspective, what are the likely benefits of achieving 20% ethanol blending target in petrol in India? The question is asking about the benefits of achieving the target of 20%. Significant reduction in fossil fuel imports. Yes, the dependency on fossil fuels decreases and also the import cost. It lowers the greenhouse gas emissions. Yes, reduced water consumption in sugarcane cultivation. There is no connection between the targets and the water consumption in sugarcane cultivation. So, if we produce ethanol from sugarcane, the sugarcane cultivation increases and also the water consumption for sugarcane production also increases. It does not reduce water consumption. So, option 3 is wrong. We can eliminate these three. Option A 1 and 2 only is the right answer. Next question, biofuel feedstock. The question is based on the feedstock. With reference to biofuel production in India, consider the following feedstocks. He is asking about the feedstocks for biofuel production. First one is sugarcane. Yes, we use sugarcane for the biofuel production. Damaged food grains are used. Municipal solid waste is used. Now see the question here. Which of the above can be used to produce ethanol? It is asking about the ethanol production. Jethro seeds are used for the production of biodiesel. So 1, 2 and 3, option B is the right answer. Next question, second generation biofuels are gaining importance in India. How do they differ from first generation biofuels? Here the question is asking about how 1G is different from the 2G. Let's see the first statement. 2G biofuels are produced from non-food biomass such as agricultural residues. Yes, 2G is based on the waste. Second statement, 2G biofuels have higher blending efficiency compared to 1G biofuels. 1G and 2G only differ in the feedstocks. There is no mention about the efficiencies, so we can eliminate the option 2. Now we can eliminate the option B and D. Now let's see the third statement. 2G biofuels reduce the conflict between food security and fuel production. Yes, as with 2G is produced from waste. So option C 1 and 3 is the right answer. Fifth question. India's biofuel policy aligns with the Paris Agreement commitments. Which of the following statements reflect this alignment? Let's see the first statement. Reduction in carbon emissions through ethanol blending. Statement 1 is correct. Second statement, increasing the share of renewables in India's energy mix. Yes, biofuel is a renewable energy. Next, collaboration with international organizations for advanced biofuel technology. Statement 3 is also correct. 1, 2, 3. Option D is the right answer. The policy changes related to the biofuels. This was in use as government lifted restrictions on using cane juice, syrup and B-heavy molasses for ethanol production in August 2024. Here, syrup and B-heavy molasses are the byproducts in process of making the sugar. Now this cane juice and these byproducts can be used for the production of ethanol. Now it enables the sugar mills to better utilize these products also for the biofuel production. Next, key developments. Sugar mills can now use 750,000 metric tons of stored B-heavy molasses, and distilleries can produce 2.3 million metric tons of rice from the Food Corporation of India. Here, distilleries are the factories which produce alcohol. So now they can purchase the rice from the FCI to produce the ethanol. Now it is diversifying the feedstock for ethanol production and reduces the reliance on traditional sources like sugarcane. Instead of sugarcane, now we can use B-heavy molasses and also the extra surplus rice from FCI for producing the ethanol. Next, what is the economic impact? It reduces the surplus inventory of sugar and rice, stabilizing the market prices, and it also enhances the income for sugar mills and distilleries. Now by using this sugar and rice, it stabilizes the market prices. The extra income can be generated for sugar mills and also the distilleries. It boosts the rural economies by increasing the revenue streams. Next, environmental benefits. It promotes the ethanol blending program to reduce the fossil fuel usage. It supports the shift towards renewable energy sources. As government lifted the restrictions on these products, it increases the ethanol production, which means it is reducing the dependency on the fossil fuels. Next, relevance. It aligns India's commitment to reducing the carbon emissions. Next, significance for energy security. It helps achieving the India's 20% ethanol blending by 2025. As the restrictions are lifted for these products, the more production there will be an increase in the production. So it reduces the dependency on crude oil imports. It strengthens the energy self-reliance of India. Sustainability considerations. Details. Potential diversion of food grains like rice toward ethanol production raises concerns about food security. As the surplus rice is bought from the FCI, there is a concern for the food security. We should balance this to avoid negative impacts on the food availability. Next, Key supporting policies. National policy on biofuels. It focuses on the ethanol production from surplus crops. As we already saw this policy, it allows to use the surplus crops for the ethanol production. And another program is ethanol blending program, which aims for the 20% blending by 2025. It shows the government's push for the renewable energy and also the circular economy. Next, future implications. It encourages the researchers to alternative ethanol feedstocks like crop residues and drives innovation in biofuel technologies. It encourages researchers to see more alternative feedstocks to produce the ethanol and also biodiesel. Relevance positions India as a global leader in biofuel production. We may become global leader in biofuel production while addressing energy and also environmental challenges taken place. The restrictions on cane juice, syrup and B-heavy molasses has lifted such that now sugar mills can use these to produce the ethanol, and also distilleries can procure rice from FCI to produce ethanol. Now feedstock has increased such that ethanol production also increases, so that we can reach 20% ethanol blending by 2025, which reduces the dependence on fossil fuels, which reduces the pollution, which also reduces the import cost. And also India can achieve energy security. Simple. Now let's see some questions based on it. With reference to India's national policy on biofuels, consider the following statements. The policy allows the use of sugarcane juice and damaged food grains for ethanol production. Yes, we can use sugarcane and also damaged food grains. It targets 20% ethanol blending in petrol by 2025. Yes. The policy mandates the use of biofuels only in the transportation sector. The policy doesn't mandate use of biofuels in any sector. We can use it in electricity also and also in other industries. So, statement 3 is incorrect. By eliminating these three, option A, 1 and 2 only is the right answer. Next question. Consider the following page regarding biofuels and their feedstocks in India. Here he is given type of biofuel and also feedstocks. First generation biofuels, they are produced from the food, sugarcane and corn. Yes, first one is right. Second generation is based on waste. They can be produced from municipal solid waste. Second is also correct. Third generation biofuels can be produced from the algae microorganisms. In place of algae, if he is given microorganisms also, it is also the right one. So third is also right. Option D, 1, 2 and 3 are right answer. Next, the question is based on current affairs. India has recently allowed the use of surplus rice from the Food Corporation of India for ethanol production. What is the primary purpose for this decision? Here he is asking what may be the reasons for allowing the use of surplus rice for the production of ethanol. First statement, to reduce surplus rice stocks and stabilize market prices. Yes, to stabilize the market prices. Statement 1 is correct. To promote the export of ethanol to global markets. We are not even self-sufficient. How can we export ethanol now? So, option B is wrong. Next, let's see other statements also. To incentivize farmers to grow rice for energy purpose. No, rice is a staple food. We cannot divert it to produce the fuel. So, statement C is wrong. To ensure a steady supply of ethanol for the production of biodiesel. Rice is used for ethanol, not for biodiesel. So, option D is also wrong. Option A is the right answer. Next question, environmental impact. The question is based on the environmental impact. Which of the following is or potential environmental benefits of promoting biofuels in India? Without even seeing options, we can say that for reducing the pollution and also reducing the dependency of fossil fuels and also to decrease the import cost. Now let's see the options. Reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. Yes, one is right. We can eliminate the option C. Improvement in soil fertility. There is no link between the biofuels and the soil fertility. So, second one is incorrect. We can eliminate the option D also. Reduction in dependency on fossil fuels. Yes, 1 and 3. Option B is the right answer. Next question. With respect to India's biofuel initiatives, what are the challenges of using food grains like rice and sugarcane for ethanol production? Here, the question is asking about if we use rice and sugarcane for biofuel production, what are the challenges we may face? First statement, it may lead to food inflation due to reduced availability of staple food grains. Yes, if we divert rice for the production of fuel instead of food, the prices may increase and also the availability also decreases. So statement 1 is correct. It promotes the depletion of groundwater resources. Yes, as there were water-rich crops, there will be groundwater depletion. It discourages crop diversification in favor of water-intensive crop. If you use them for fuel production, now everyone starts producing them, and then it decreases the crop diversification. So statement 3 is also correct. Option D is the right answer. Next, impact on sugar exports. Just now we saw that the restriction has been lifted on the sugar. Now they can use for the ethanol production. Now this definitely impact the sugar exports. Let's see now. Increased ethanol production is diverting 5 million metric tons of sucrose to ethanol, reducing the local sugar availability. As it is diverting towards producing the ethanol, it reduces the local availability of the sugar. It reflects the trade-off between energy production and agricultural exports. We saw food versus fuel. Now, energy versus exports. That means fuel versus exports. It's impacting the exports. Next, sugar export reduction. India is unlikely to export sugar during the 2024-25 season due to the tight supply-demand balance caused by the ethanol diversion. As we are diverting this sugar to produce ethanol, this is affecting the sugar exports. We already saw it in the 2024-25. Now it shows how policy-driven shifts affect export capabilities and global trade. By diverting this sugar to producing the ethanol, which affected the exports are decreased. See how policies can shift these affect exports, which decreases the global trade. Now we'll see economic significance of this. Sugar exports are critical source of foreign exchange for India. Reduced exports may impact sugar producing states like Maharashtra and Uttar. By exporting sugar, we'll get the foreign currency. By this foreign currency, we'll buy oil and also import other things using this foreign currency. Now by reducing the exports, we may decrease the forex reserves, and also it impacts the sugar producing states like Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh. Now see its relevance. Highlights the economic challenges sugar-dependent regions may face due to reduced export opportunities. They may have they face the reduced export opportunities. Next, policy interlinkages. Government ethanol blending targets aim to reduce crude oil dependency but affect sugar availability for domestic and the export markets. We may reach this target, but it is affecting the domestic and also the international markets. This is why we are moving towards 2G, 3G and 4G technologies for the biofuels production. Now let's see the relevance. It demonstrates the interconnection between the energy security goals and agricultural commodity management. Food versus fuel. This is always a debatable. Next, environmental impact. Ethanol production promotes cleaner energy. It reduces emissions. It increases the strain on sugarcane resources which are water intensive. We know that sugarcanes are water intensive crops. By producing more sugarcane, that means by bringing more land under sugarcane cultivation, which may also affect environment by depleting the underground water. What are the relevances? Emphasize the need for balancing environment sustainability with agricultural resource management. We should balance them both. Next, let's see some questions. India has set a target to achieve 20% ethanol blending with petrol by 2025. What is the primary objective of this initiative? First one, to increase agricultural exports. Now, we are diverting the agricultural to fuel. How can we export? Option A is wrong. Next, to reduce the import dependency on crude oil. Yes. By meeting the blending targets, we can reduce the dependency on fossil fuels. Option B is the right answer. Let's see other options also. To promote electric vehicle adoption. In e-vehicles, we don't need of the fuel, so option C is wrong. To increase domestic sugar production. Option D is also wrong. Option B is the right answer. Next question. The increasing diversion of sugarcane for ethanol production in India likely to impact which of the following? First one, yes, it impacts the sugar exports, as we already saw, and also domestic sugar prices also. They may increase, and agricultural income in sugar production states. Yes, they may affect sugar producing states like Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh. All three are correct. Option C is the right answer. Next, which of the following is an environmental benefit of increased ethanol production in India? A reduction in agricultural water usage. Wrong. We may use here. We are using water-intensive crops for production of ethanol. Next, lower greenhouse gas emissions from blended fuels. Yes, we can lower the greenhouse gas emissions. Next, reduced need for crop diversification. They may not reduce the crop diversification for ethanol production. Option C is incorrect. Decrease in ethanol's dependency on sugarcane. It increases the dependence on sugarcane. So option D is also right. Wrong. Option B is the right answer. Next question. Which sugar producing states in India are likely to be most affected by the diversion of sugarcane for ethanol production? We already saw Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh. Next, which of the following government initiatives supports ethanol production in India? National policy on biofuels. Yes, it is a government initiative for ethanol production. Next, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. No, it is not related to this. Next, ethanol blended program. Yes. Next, Green Energy Corridor project. It is not related to the biofuel. So, option statement 1 and 3. Option B is the right answer.